Right now, grab your phone or any mirror nearby. Hold it slightly above your eye level, the way you would hold it if you were about to take a photo of yourself. Now, look at the soft tissue right under your jaw, that pad of skin and fat that has been bothering you for years. Tilt your head down slightly, the way you do when you read, when you scroll, when you look at the speedometer. Watch what happens to that pad of tissue. It bunches, it folds, it doubles. Now do something different. Without moving your shoulders, without sucking anything in, without tightening your jaw, pull your head straight back over your shoulders, as if a string at the back of your skull were gently lifting you up. Look again. Half of that tissue has disappeared, maybe 2/3. In some people, almost all of it. That tissue you have been calling fat for the last 10 years, the thing you have spent money on creams for, the thing you tilt your head a certain way in every photo to hide, the thing you blame on age and genetics and weight, most of it is not fat. It is collapsed posture wearing a fat costume. In about 80% of people over 50 with a visible double chin, the underlying problem is not what is on your body. It is how your body is being held. And the muscle group responsible for holding it up is one nobody ever taught you to use. Let me show you exactly what is happening at the base of your skull, the floating bone in your throat that you did not know was even there, and the 3-minute habit that rebuilds the entire structure before bed. Subscribe to Dr. Emily Wang. You know the moment I am talking about. You catch your reflection in a car window walking past, and for a second, you do not recognize the angle of your own neck. You go to take a photo with a friend, and even though you are smiling, you can feel your hand subtly tilting the phone higher because you have learned that any angle from below adds 10 years, and a chin you do not believe is really yours. You look at a photo of yourself from a decade ago, and your jawline was sharp, your neck was long, and you cannot find the moment it changed. You did not gain 40 pounds. You did not stop drinking water. You did not start sleeping differently overnight. And yet something has slowly, quietly buried the line between your jaw and your neck. When you mention it to anyone, the answer is always the same. Lose some weight. Try a face cream. Maybe think about a procedure. So you cut calories, you buy the cream, you research the procedure. The fat under your chin barely changes, because in most cases over 50, fat is not what is sitting there. Let me fix that. The fat under your chin and the soft tissue you see in a side profile are two different things stored in two different layers. The actual fat pad under your chin, called the submental fat compartment, sits beneath a thin sheet of muscle called the platysma. For most people over 50, this fat pad has not gotten bigger over the years. In some people, it has actually gotten smaller as overall body fat redistributes. The thing that changed is the structure holding it. A small fat pad held high and tight by good posture and strong muscle support is invisible. The same fat pad sitting on collapsed structure with a forward-jutting head and slack underlying muscle looks like a double chin from across the room. Cutting calories will shrink your face, your hands, and your collarbones long before it touches that compartment. You have been treating the wrong layer. Your head weighs between 10 and 12 pounds. It is held in balance not by the muscles you can see in the mirror, but by a deep set of muscles running along the front of your spine, behind your throat, called the deep cervical flexors. There are 4 of them. The 2 most important are the longus colli and the longus capitis. You have likely never heard of either one. They run from the base of your skull down to the upper part of your sternum, attached to the front of each vertebra in your neck. Their job is to hold your head directly over your shoulders without effort, the way a stack of perfectly balanced blocks holds itself up without anyone touching it. When these muscles are strong, your chin sits naturally tucked, your skull floats over your spine, and the front of your neck stays long. The platysma, the broad sheet of muscle that spans from your collarbones up over the underside of your jaw, stays taut. The hyoid bone, A small, free-floating bone in the middle of your throat, the only bone in your entire body that is not connected to any other bone, sits high, suspended by the muscles around it. The cervicomental angle, the angle between the underside of your chin and the front of your neck, stays sharp and defined. Now watch what happens when the deep cervical flexors weaken. The head drifts forward, even by an inch, 2 inches in some people. To compensate, the muscles on the back of your neck go into a constant low-grade contraction, trying to hold the head up against gravity. The front of the neck, the part you see in the mirror, collapses. The platysma slackens. The hyoid bone drops, sometimes by a full centimeter. The skin and fat that was being held up by the platysma now has nowhere to go but down and forward. The cervicomental angle, which used to be roughly 90 degrees, becomes 110, 120, sometimes 130. From the side, the jaw and neck appear to merge into a single soft surface. The double chin appears. 3 things happen at once after 50. First, the deep cervical flexors atrophy faster than the muscles on the back of the neck. This is partly disuse, partly hormonal, partly the result of 40 years of looking down at desks, at books, at children, at steering wheels, at phones. The muscles you stop using shrink. The longest collie is small, deep, and almost never recruited unless you specifically train it. By 60, most people have lost up to 30% of the cross-sectional area of these muscles. Second, the connective tissue beneath the chin, the layer that anchors skin to muscle, loses elasticity. The framework that held everything tight begins to slacken. Third, the angle of the head at rest shifts. Studies of habitual head posture show that the average forward head position increases by about half an inch per decade after 40. By 60, the average head sits an inch and a half forward of where it sat at 30. That single inch is the difference between a defined jawline and a soft, blurred neck. The math stops working and the structure starts to fold. Before I go any further, I need to draw a clear line. There are situations where soft tissue changes under the chin are not a posture problem and need medical evaluation. You need to recognize these, pause this video, and call your doctor this week if any of the following apply to you. Sudden swelling under the chin or along the side of your neck that comes on within hours or a day or two, especially if it is painful, warm to the touch, or accompanied by fever. That is not a posture problem. That can be an infected salivary gland, an abscess, or an inflamed lymph node, and it needs treatment, not exercises. A firm, fixed lump under the chin or along the jawline that does not move when you swallow, does not move when you push on it, and has been growing slowly for weeks or months. That needs imaging. It is almost certainly nothing serious, but it needs to be checked, not assumed. Difficulty swallowing, a change in your voice that has lasted more than 2 weeks, or a feeling that something is stuck in your throat when nothing is there. Combined with neck changes, those symptoms need a workup. Swollen lymph nodes under the jaw that have not gone down after 3 weeks. Most lymph nodes that swell from a cold resolve within 10 days. Anything persisting beyond 3 weeks needs evaluation. If none of these describe you, if the change you see under your chin has been slow, gradual, symmetric, and worse in photos than it is in any other measurable way, then what follows is for you. There are essentially 3 patterns of submental change after 50. They look similar in a mirror and have completely different causes. Pattern 1 is true submental fat. There is a genuine accumulation of fat in the compartment under the chin. This pattern is associated with overall weight gain across the body. The fat feels soft even and pinchable, and it shrinks proportionally when total body fat goes down. People in this pattern usually carry visible fat elsewhere, under the upper arms, at the waistline, along the cheeks. Diet and exercise change this pattern over months. Pattern 2 is postural pseudo-double chin. This is the one we are focused on today. The deep cervical flexors are weak. The head sits forward. The platysma is slack. The hyoid has dropped. The soft tissue that exists under the chin, including a normal amount of fat that was never the problem, is now sitting on a collapsed scaffold and looks like a double chin. The hallmark of this pattern is that the appearance changes dramatically depending on head position. Pull the head back and the chin lifts. Look down and it doubles. Most people over 50 fall into this pattern or a mix of this and pattern 3. Pattern 3 is skin and platysma laxity, sometimes called submental ptosis. The skin and the platysma have lost so much elasticity over decades that even with corrected posture, a soft, pendulous fold of tissue remains. You can identify this pattern by gently pinching the skin directly under the chin. If it lifts in a thin, loose flap that takes a long moment to recoil, laxity is part of your picture. This pattern responds to structural work, but not entirely. Posture work helps. So does collagen-supporting nutrition, but this is the pattern most likely to involve a real cosmetic procedure if the goal is full reversal. Let me tell you about someone I will call Margaret. 56 years old, mid-weight her entire adult life, did not gain a pound between 45 and 55. She came in convinced she needed liposuction under her chin. Her story went like this. For about 4 years, she had watched a soft fold appear under her jawline and slowly thicken. She had pulled out old photographs to see whether her face had simply changed shape with age. She found a photograph from when she was 50, taken at her son's college graduation. Her jawline was clean. The neck was long. The chin was defined. She compared it to a photograph from her son's wedding 3 years later. The change was startling. Same weight, same haircut, almost the same lighting, completely different jawline. She had consulted a cosmetic surgeon. He had quoted her a procedure called submental liposuction with skin tightening for around $6,000. She had nearly scheduled it. The thing that made her hesitate was a photograph her daughter-in-law took at the wedding from a slightly different angle. In that photo, Margaret happened to be lifting her head to look at the band. Her jawline was almost back. Not perfect, but visible. Defined again. She showed me the two photographs side by side. Same day, same dress, same makeup. Different head position. Completely different neck. What Margaret had was not fat. She had spent 40 years as an office manager, 20 of those in front of a computer monitor that sat below her natural eyeline. Her deep cervical flexors had quietly atrophied. Her head had drifted forward by close to 2 inches. Her platysma had gone slack. The chin she thought she had lost was still there. It had just been buried under collapsed posture. Here is what happens to Margaret's body every single day and probably yours. She wakes up, looks in the mirror. The chin looks pretty good, the neck looks long. She has been lying flat for 8 hours with her head supported and her deep flexors mostly off duty, but at least not being held in a stressed position. She gets up, has coffee, sits at the kitchen table looking down at her phone for 30 minutes. She drives to work, hands on a wheel below her chest, eyes drifting toward the dashboard. She sits at a desk for the next 3 hours, looking down at paperwork or down at a laptop. She has lunch with friends, leans forward over the table to hear them. She drives home, she reads, she watches television with her chin gently tucked because that is just how the recliner positions her. By the end of the day, her head has been in a slight downward tilt or a slight forward position for 14 of her 16 waking hours. Her deep cervical flexors have done almost no work. By evening, when she catches herself in a mirror, the chin is gone again. 2 tests. Right now. 90 seconds total. Test 1, the wall test. Stand with your back against a wall. Heels, hips, and shoulder blades all touching the wall. Now, without lifting your chin, try to bring the back of your head to the wall. Just glide it backward. If your head touches easily, your forward head posture is mild. If you can feel a clear gap between the back of your head and the wall, 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches. That gap is your forward head posture made visible. Measure it. Write it down. This is your baseline. Test 2, the chin tuck mirror test. Stand in front of a mirror in your natural standing posture. Look straight ahead. Note the appearance of your jaw and neck. Now, without tilting your head down or up, slide your chin straight back, the way you would if you were trying to make a deliberate, slightly silly double chin. Hold it. Look at the silhouette of your jawline. If the appearance of your neck and chin changes dramatically, if the fold disappears, if a clear angle reappears between your jaw and your throat, your double chin is largely postural. If pulling your chin back barely changes the appearance, you likely have more of pattern 3, true tissue laxity, possibly combined with some real fat. Most people are stunned by what happens in test 2. They have been looking in mirrors for years and have never tried that one motion. They watch 10 years of double chin disappear in 2 seconds. That is not magic. That is structure. And it tells you that the structure can be retrained. 3 things make postural double chin worse. Most people over 50 do all 3 daily without realizing it. The first is screen position. The average person spends 4 to 6 hours a day on a phone, and the average person holds the phone roughly 12 inches below eye level. Every minute spent in that position is a minute the deep cervical flexors are switched off and the back of the neck is over-recruited. Over a year, that is hundreds of hours of one specific posture being reinforced. The body is honest. It becomes the shape you ask it to become. The second is reading posture, especially with progressive lenses. If you wear progressives, you may have noticed that to read clearly, you tip your head back slightly and look down through the bottom of the lens. That position locks the front of the neck into a shortened, slack state for the duration of every reading session. Multiplied across years, that posture is doing real structural damage. The third is sleeping with too many pillows. A pile of 2 or 3 pillows pushes the head forward into a chin-tucked position for 7 or 8 hours every night. That is roughly a third of your life spent reinforcing the very posture that buries your jawline. The fix is not no pillow. It is one supportive pillow that keeps your neck in line with your spine when you lie on your back or your side, not propped up like a hospital bed. Now, the other direction. Things that support a corrected jawline. Water. Skin and connective tissue under the chin are highly hydration dependent. Chronic mild dehydration thins the dermis and increases the appearance of sag. Aim for roughly half your body weight in ounces, spread through the day. Protein. The deep cervical flexors are skeletal muscle. They cannot rebuild without amino acids. Many adults over 50 are mildly protein deficient, especially women. 2 servings of high-quality protein per day, eggs, fish, chicken, lentils, cottage cheese, directly supports muscle rebuilding. Vitamin C and collagen support. Vitamin C is required for collagen synthesis, and collagen is the structural protein in skin and connective tissue. Citrus, bell peppers, dark leafy greens, kiwi. A small daily amount makes a measurable difference in skin integrity over about 12 weeks. Screen elevation. This is not a food, but it is a support. Bring your phone to eye level. Raise your monitor on a stack of books if you have to. Use a stand for your reading material. Every inch you bring your screen up is an inch your head does not have to come down. This single change does more for your jawline over a year than any cream you can buy. Now, the 3-minute habit that rebuilds the structure under your chin. This is the core of the video. Pay attention. Every part matters. Morning. Before you reach for your phone, while you are still sitting on the edge of the bed, do 10 chin tucks. Sit tall. Slide your chin straight back as if a finger were pushing the front of your chin gently backward without tilting your head up or down. Hold for 5 seconds. Release. 10 of those. This takes about 1 minute, and it does it before the day has had a chance to switch off the muscles you are trying to rebuild. Throughout the day, Follow the eye level rule. Every time you pick up your phone, lift it. Every time you sit at your computer, check that the top of the screen is at or just below your eye line. Every time you read, prop the book up rather than letting your head drop. This is the maintenance that protects the gains from the morning and evening work. Evening, 90 minutes before bed. This is the critical piece. Stand with your back against a wall, heels, hips, and shoulder blades against the wall. Glide your head back so it touches the wall or comes as close as it can. Hold for 10 seconds, breathing normally. Release. Repeat 10 times. This is the strength builder for the deep flexors. Then, with your hand, place 2 fingers gently against the front of your chin. Press your chin back into your fingers and resist for 5 seconds. Release. Repeat 10 times. This adds resistance and accelerates recruitment in the deep layer. Then the platysma stretch. Sit tall. Tilt your head back as if you were looking at the ceiling. Push your lower jaw forward as if you were trying to gently cover your upper lip with your lower lip. You should feel a strong stretch all the way down the front of your neck and under your chin. Hold for 10 seconds. Release. Repeat 5 times. Finally, the hyoid lift. Close your mouth. Press the flat of your tongue firmly against the roof of your mouth as if you were trying to make the entire tongue stick to the palate. Hold for 10 seconds. You will feel the small muscles under your chin engage. Repeat 5 times. The entire evening sequence takes about 3 minutes. Right after the sequence, you will feel something most people are surprised by. A deep, almost burning ache at the back of your neck, just below the base of the skull. That is not pain. That is the deep cervical flexors finally being asked to do their job after years of dormancy. The ache will return after the first 3 or 4 sessions and then fade. By the end of week 1, you will feel a different change. When you stand naturally and let your arms hang, your head will sit slightly further back than it did before, and you will not have to think about it. The muscles will start holding you up the way they were designed to. By day 5 or 6, you will glance in a mirror at an unexpected moment and not recognize the angle of your own jaw. That is the moment most people stop being skeptical. Margaret did this protocol for 4 weeks. By the end of week 1, the ache was gone and she could feel her head settling back over her shoulders. By the end of week 2, the morning mirror reflection had visibly changed. By the end of week 3, she pulled out the 2 photos from her son's wedding and took a new one in the same lighting. Her jaw was back. Not entirely the jaw of a 30-year-old, but unmistakably the jaw of someone 5 years younger than the woman who had nearly written a check for liposuction. She canceled the procedure. She kept the 3-minute habit. Her cost was $0 and 3 minutes a day. 5 things to do tonight. 1. Do the wall test right now. Measure the gap between the back of your head and the wall. Write it down. 2. Do the chin tuck mirror test and see for yourself how much of your double chin is structural. 3. Raise your phone and your screen tomorrow. Eye level, not chin level. Not chest level, eye level. 4. Tonight, 90 minutes before bed, do the full 3-minute sequence, 10 wall chin tucks, 10 resisted chin tucks, 5 platysma stretches, 5 hyoid lifts. 5. Tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, 10 chin tucks on the edge of the bed. Do this for 2 weeks. Retest the wall test. Retake the side profile photo in the same lighting. The change is not subtle. It is the kind of change you see in your own reflection, your own photos, and the way a button collar suddenly sits differently on your neck. One last thing. I want to know 2 things before you go. How old are you? Write your age in the comments. The age of this audience shapes which topics I cover. And second, where are you watching from? Which city? Which country? Leave it in the comments. I want to see how far this conversation is reaching, because it helps me understand who needs this kind of information most, and if someone you love has been quietly self-conscious about their chin in photos for years, send them this video. They have probably been told to lose weight. They have probably looked at face creams. They have almost certainly never been told that the structure under their jaw is a muscle they can train. You may give them back the jawline they thought they had lost forever. Your double chin is not a fat problem. It is not a skin problem. It is not a genetic problem you inherited and have to live with. In most cases after 50, it is the visible signature of muscles that quietly switched off years ago and were never asked to come back on. Give them 3 minutes a day, and the difference is not subtle. It is the kind of change you will see in the mirror, see in your photos, and feel the first time someone you have not seen in months stops mid-sentence and asks if you have done something different.